The Sixers take on the Celtics, 7:30 Eastern start time. Boston's -3, totals 213.5. We won 4-1 in our 5 premium sports picks on brockpage.com yesterday. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at brockpage.com. We're also hitting at 69% our last 26 NBA tier package picks on that very same website. And the good news is we have another NBA tier package pick going off here today. And if you want to access today's NBA tier package pick on brockpage.com, link for that pick is in the description section below. The Celtics won 2 out of their last 3 ball games, 3-0 against the number during that stretch. The Celtics are also 8-5 straight up in the Garden, and they rank in the top 10 in offensive rebounding. Jason Tatum scoring over 26 points a game, 8 rebounds, 3 assists for Tatum. Meanwhile, Jaylen Brown's averaging over 21 points a night himself, 5 rebounds, couple assists for Brown. Meanwhile, defensively, the Celtics are in the top 10 in defensive field goal percentage. When it comes to the injury report, the Celtics, they do have a ton of guys on the injury report. Horford, Parker, Hernangomez, Williams, Thomas, and Hauser, they are out. Meanwhile, Langford and Schroeder are questionable. That in mind, though, they're still taking on a Philly team who lost their last 3 straight, and they failed to cover in 6 out of their last 7. The Sixers also have a slew of guys on the injury report themselves. Embiid, Drummond, Green, Niang, Korkmaz, Milton, Maxey, Springer. They're all questionable for Philly. The Sixers are dead last in the NBA in offensive rebounding. They're also scoring just 104 points a game when traveling. 2 out of Philly's last 3 ball games did get over the posted number. The Sixers also went 4-3 to the over in their last 7. Meanwhile, Boston saw their last 2 straight get over the line themselves, 5-3 to the over in their last 8. I'm going to lean toward Boston -3, over 213.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Rockets versus the Bulls, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Chicago's -7, totals 222.5. But despite being favored in this one, Chicago failed to cover in their last 3 straight. And they've got a handful of guys who can't play. Levine, Johnson, Brown, Thomas, and Dosunmu, they are in health and safety protocols. And even when, they're mostly healthy, the Bulls have done a poor job of rebounding. They're in the bottom 5 in rebounding on the offensive end of the court. Meanwhile, defensively, the Bulls are in the bottom 10 in defending the 3-ball at home. They're taking on a Houston squad who's been really good against the number here recently. Houston 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 ball games. And they successfully covered the number in 63% of their road games. Christian Wood is scoring over 16.5 points per contest, 11 boards, couple assists for the center. Meanwhile, Eric Gordon is drilling nearly 45% of his 3-pointers, 14 points a game for Igor. Now, defensively, the Rockets are limiting their opponents to just 33% shooting from 3 land. When it comes to the injury report, Porter's out, Brooks is questionable, and total-wise, Houston saw 3 out of their last 5 road meetings with an Eastern Conference opponent fall under the number. Meanwhile, the Bulls saw 3 out of their last 5 outings fall under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Houston +7, under 222.5. Next ball game, Thunder, Grizzlies, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Memphis is -9.5, totals 212. The Grizzlies won 8 out of their last 10 ball games, and they successfully covered the point spread in 70% of those contests. Memphis is in the top 5 in offensive points per contest at home. They're also in the top 5 in home offensive rebounding. Dylan Brooks is scoring nearly 20 points per contest, 3 rebounds, couple assists for the forward. Meanwhile, Jaren Jackson is averaging over 16 points a game himself, along with 5 boards. And speaking of boards, the Grizzlies are also in the top 5 in defensive rebounding per game at home. When it comes to the injury report, Clark, Aldama, and Williams are questionable for Memphis. They're taking on an OKC squad who lost 7 out of their last 10 themselves. OKC is also winning just 30% of their road games, and they score fewer points per contest than any other team in basketball. OKC is averaging only 96 points per contest when traveling, and they're making only 39% of their field goals in that same category. Now, total-wise, 5 out of OKC's last 8 ball games got over the posted number. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Memphis. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies saw 3 out of their last 5 get over the line themselves. Memphis is officially 11-7 to the over at the FedEx Forum. I'm going to lean toward Memphis minus 9.5 over 212. Next game, Hornets Jazz, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Utah's minus 11.5, totals 236. Utah is currently 11 games over 500, and they're leading the NBA in scoring on average per contest. Donovan Mitchell's averaging over 25 points a game, 3 rebounds, 5 assists for D. Mitch. Meanwhile, Bojan Bogdanovic is scoring 17 points a night himself, along with 3 boards. Bogey's also drilling nearly 43% of his three-pointers. The Jazz lead the NBA in offensive field goal percentage. They're also leading the NBA in defensive rebounding as well. They're taking on a Charlotte team who lost 7 out of their last 10 themselves, and they're winning only 8 of 20 road games. Charlotte allows more points per contest than any other team in the NBA. They're also dead last in defensive field goal percentage away from home. Now, injury-wise, Martin is questionable for Charlotte. Meanwhile, for Utah, Conley and Oni are questionable. Fitz is out. And when it comes to the total in this one, the Jazz went 80% to the over in their last 10 ball games, 10-6 to the over at home. Meanwhile, the Hornets went 60% to the over on the road this season, 21-11 to the over for the entire year. I'm going to lean toward Utah minus 11.5 over 236. Next game, Kings, Warriors, 10 o'clock Eastern start time. Golden State's minus 12.5, totals 221. Golden State's 14-2 straight up at the Chase Center, 12-4 against the spread in those home games. The Warriors lead the entire NBA in points allowed per contest. They're also first in defensive field goal percentage per game. Now, scoring-wise, Steph Curry is averaging 27 points per contest, 5 rebounds, 6 assists for Curry. Steph's also drilling 40% of his three-pointers. Golden State's in the top 3 in scoring, top 3 in offensive rebounding. When it comes to the injury report, Wiggins and Poole are still in quarantine. Meanwhile, for Sacramento, Len, Holmes, Fox, Bagley, Davis, King, and Mitchell, they are questionable for tonight's action themselves. Sacramento lost 4 out of their last 6 ball games, 2-4 against the spread during that span. The Kings are also winning just 40% of their road games, bottom 3 in points allowed per contest. Sacramento's last 2 straight got over the number, 5-2 to the over in their last 7. The Kings are also 10-5 to the over in all of their road games. Meanwhile, Golden State saw their last 2 straight get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Golden State minus 12.5 over 221. Next and final matchup, Spurs, Clippers, 10:30 Eastern tip-off. The LA Clippers are minus 4.5, numbers 217. Now, the Clippers are on a 2-game losing streak, 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. LA's going to work without Morris, Preston, and Hartenstein. Meanwhile, Ibaka and George are questionable. And even when they're mostly healthy, the Clippers successfully covered the point spread in just 42% of their home games. The Clippers are averaging only 106 points a night in the crypto building. They're taking on a Spurs team who went 60% against the number in their last 10 ball games. Top 5 in the NBA in offensive field goal percentage. DeJounte Murray is averaging over 17.5 points per contest, 8 rebounds, 8.5 assists for Murray. Meanwhile, Keldon Johnson is drilling over 46% of his 3 balls, 15 points a night for Keldon. Now, defensively, the Spurs are in the top 3 in fewest points allowed in the fourth quarter. When it comes to the number in this one, the Spurs are 10-4 to the under when traveling, 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Los Angeles. Meanwhile, the Clippers are 5-2 to the under in their last 7 themselves. I'm going to lean towards San Antonio, plus 4.5, under 217. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at brockpage.com, where we are hitting at 69% in our last 26 NBA tier package picks. I like Boston -3 over 213.5. Houston +7 under 222 and a hook. Memphis -9.5 over 212. Utah -11.5 over 236. Golden State -12.5 over 221. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we are also 6-1 with a push in our last 8 $1.99 daily best plays on brockpage.com. I'm going to lean toward San Antonio +4.5, under 217. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on brockpage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on that website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on brockpage.com, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of December. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Monday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.